Part two, everybody. Sorry, for some reason Zoom cut us off. But anyway, so I remember getting bitten on my side because I was not paying attention to the horse. And I don't know if he asked if I was okay, but I just remember saying, yeah, I'm all right. And the pain, you might know if you've ever gotten
Oh,
bitten,
yes.
it burns, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like dying. And meanwhile, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, hey, you're good to go. And he, trotted off. And I walked very casually to the clinic and was like, ice, I need ice. And you could see the mouth, the
Yes.
teeth marks
Hmm.
on both sides of my front and my side. And at that time, I was really, really thin. And I was afraid that the bite might have broken a rib. I mean, it was that bad. He was like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to have this kid on me. And the nurse said, no, 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 it didn't break anything. It didn't even break the skin, but you're going to have bruising. And I did. I had a nice little
It
bruise.
bruises a lot when they bite you. Yeah.
But I do remember that day being so excited to just be in the ring and, help all the kids that were my age. And then Steven comes around. I'm like, oh no.
Oh, yeah. Well, so that's something that I
Gosh.
don't miss is that awkwardness,
Oh yeah.
so
Oh yeah.
so yeah, you get the carefreeness, but also, super awkward, don't know how to act around boys you like.
I mean, when I would have a crush on a guy, it was really pretty much that. I remember I had a crush on another kid in high school. He was a year younger, and I was doing everything I could to get his attention without getting his attention.
Hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't walk up to him. I wouldn't say anything to him. I would just dress the part and be around more often.
Yeah.
And I remember they had this thing where for Valentine's Day, you could give someone a rose and or you can write something in some kind of like newsletter for Valentine's Day. So I wrote something to him anonymously. I don't remember what it said, like your secret admirer or there's someone that has a crush on you or something. And it wasn't until a few months later that, and I don't remember, but we wound up talking at a party. And I said, hey, do you remember Valentine's Day? And then he's like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, that was me. I don't remember what he said. We wound up dating for a little while too.
Oh, so
Very short period of time. But I guess it was a little awkward, but I did it at such a slow pace that I guess it was no longer awkward. And we were friends first.
yeah, that makes it less awkward.
Yeah, friends, and then it kind of led into something else, but not for very long because was I a senior? Yeah, I was a senior, and I just
So
didn't have time for that. I wasn't really into having any kind of relationship or anything. I just wanted to see what the next thing was going, to be for me.
so that's something that I would miss. When you're a kid, like you have your whole life in front of you, and you can think about all of these possibilities and all of these things you could do, and as you age, like those possibilities or like the things you could do sort of shrink down, like, but as a kid, you're like, yeah, I can be a marine biologist and travel the world. And,
Got all the time.
right. You have all the time. You can do whatever you want. Like that possibility, I guess, would be something that I would miss as well.
And now it's like, God, I don't have that much time on this earth.
Right.
Do all the things I want
time
to do.
is shrinking. and you just think like, I wasted all of this time working at these jobs that I didn't really love.
Yeah. And it's
and
very,
for
very
what?
true. I think I read something or saw another TED Talks about that. I have to try and dig it up about, how time is really precious and you have to make the best of it and things you can do to kind of get closer to the things that you've been wanting to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really remember too much about it. It was very insightful. And again, it's one of those things that it just said it. And you were like, oh, okay. But, with that, with all those dreams and all those things that you want to do, like for me, I have wanted to travel for the last few years. I have been, as soon as my son was out of college, because he was, still at home, I was like, okay, that's it. At that point,
It's
I'm going
time
to
now.
start. Yeah. And then COVID came,
Yes.
and it really set us back. And we were making plans, like taking like our bucket lists and or my bucket list, and we were going to travel. The first place I was going to go was either to Greece or to the Netherlands and Amsterdam,
Hmm.
because there's this place that I've been wanting to see that is the tulip gardens, or times of the
Oh,
tulip.
yeah.
Talking about that, but with that also comes money. You have to
Yeah.
really, figure out how much everything is going to cost, and what can
Hmm.
you do first, what can you do second, and then who's going to watch my dogs, and you know,
Right.
if my son stays behind, will he watch the dogs? No, I really want to bring my son. And then it's just
It's just it's a
the
whole
whole
thing.
thing. It starts off with a really great idea and a dream, and then comes all that
The
responsibility.
logic.
Yeah, how much is it going to cost, and the dogs, and what's the weather going to be like,
Hmm.
and let's not forget to mention a little thing about me being terrified of flying.
Oh,
So yeah, so I mean, I went to New York 2 years ago for my 50th birthday, and I had no choice because my husband already made the plans and was like, "You're too bad, you have to go." I cried on the takeoff and then the landing both times, and I mean like a
like,
fearful cry.
yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, I used to love flying. I never even thought twice about it, about
No.
crashes or anything. Oh my God. I remember we went on a family vacation to Acapulco, and on the way home, the plane literally started falling apart. Tiles were falling down. There was all this horrible, horrible turbulence. And I was on the plane with a lot of kids that I had met on that vacation. And they're all terrified and crying. And that might have been the beginning of it for me.
Yeah, that would do it.
Went
But
to Vegas.
oh, well, as a kid, like you don't think about the bad things that could happen. Like I never thought about like getting into a car accident or like it wasn't until I was in high school and I had a friend die in a car accident that then I started to be like, oh, like that can be, it can be
Yeah.
scary. But same thing with like planes, like getting on boats, going tubing, just like all of these things that you could get really hurt doing. I never thought twice about them.
I think it comes with the territory as we age and as we become parents. Definitely becoming a mom has made me a lot more in tune to things that I might not have thought of years
Yeah.
ago. And just I think being an adult, you're kind of like forced to have to think, and then because you're older and you see the things that are happening, or you have friends or know a friend of a friend of a friend that this happened to, so then you start
Yeah.
thinking, oh my God, can this happen to me?
Right. And
Oh,
then you think about the thing like, if I were to get really hurt doing this thing, then I'm not going to be able to work. And then,
make
how am I going
money,
to
pay
pay
my
for
bills.
things? Yep.
All,
It's that
it's a
whole,
domino effect.
it
It
is.
really is. And the whole thing of being responsible, and that thrust. My sister had told me that, her son is living with another girl. They moved out almost a year ago. And he was saying to her, I'm like literally parenting myself now. And
Yeah.
all of these things that I wouldn't have thought of. And she told him about the Mel Robbins thing that I told you about, to watch, that no one is going to be there to help you through it. You're on your own. You're going to have to do it
Yeah.
yourself. And that's the thing. When you listen to her say it for the first time, I mean, even though I'm saying it to you, but when you actually hear it, it's like, oh my God, I'm on my own. Like, I
Yeah.
know I might have a husband, a boyfriend, a son, parents, friends, whatever. But in order for me to do what I want to do, I'm the only one that's going to do it. And it was a scary feeling listening to it, because it's like I knew it, but I heard it
Right. Yeah.
registered right, so deep, like inside my soul, I was just kind of like, oh my God, I'm the one that has to push myself. Because I remember saying to my husband, you're my motivation. You have to go walking with me at night.
Yeah.
And I was trying to push the blame on him. And
Right.
to this, it's like, God damn it, it's me.
I do the same thing because I'll be like, Mark, we have to go to the gym together. Like if we go together, then I'll go. And if you eat healthy foods, then I will eat healthy foods. But like
If you eat healthy food,
right. If you, and he's like,
it's all you, not me.
Right, it's all you. And if you do this, then I
Oh my
get the
God.
benefits. But then, he's like, you do all of the grocery shopping. Like you do that. You plan our meals and do the grocery shopping and stuff. He's like, so how do you want me to choose healthier foods? I'm like,
but you see now, you see how like talking about it is making you realize that
yeah, it's just me.
Really me. Like I'm the only one that has these feet that can start, walking.
Right.
And I think that when you learn that at a younger age versus an older age, it's better. I think that we all know it. It's just that when you hear it and when you hear her say it the way she says it, she's like, you're on your own. No one's going to do it for you. Like it was like very tough motherly love the way she was saying it. And I was walking. Sometimes when I do my walking, I'll either listen to music or motivational speakers,
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to this and I was like, I was getting angry.
Right. You do get angry because you're like, how dare she say that I'm responsible for this?
It was like my mom telling me, right. And then I think I was angry because I realized
that she's also correct. Yeah.
She's right. It's all me. And again, it's weird. Although I knew it, to hear someone say it, wow, it was really intense. But anyway, let me think of what else I miss. I'm trying to think of my older self, my older child, like up until like I'm thinking maybe 15 or 16. I definitely miss, being with my sister more, and I mean, we were very opposite and we still are. But I think that as we've matured and become parents, it's become a much nicer relationship. But I remember still, as a kid, just she was always there. I was always there. Even though there would be times when we would fight, it was still always knowing that we were still there with each other, had each other. You were never really alone. You always had someone else. If you were bored, you could, just be friends with each other, watch TV, go in the pool together, do whatever. Yeah, I miss that. I mean, although there were a lot of opposites with us, I still think that the fact that we both knew that we had each other was, still good.
It is. Yeah, we used to have like big family gatherings when I was a kid.
Aww.
And, after my grandmother died, I realized like she was the glue holding everyone together because everyone sort of drifted apart after that. And so I do miss those things sometimes. Like yesterday was Easter, obviously, and that would have been a day when everybody gathered at their house and had a meal together and the kids would hunt eggs. And so, of course, we hid eggs for Aubrey, but it's like, it's the three of us and it's not quite the same, So I do miss that from being a kid.
I miss that too. I had gotten together every year for Thanksgiving and Passover here and there with my uncle, my aunt, and all of the cousins. And it was really, really nice. It was really nice. And I really looked forward to that. And they had this big, huge home. And, I would get lost in their home and go into all the different rooms, hang out with my cousins, have a feast. And, it was just nice to see everybody. And then, I was the youngest. And all of my cousins had either gotten married, moved away, had kids, and we just all kind of grew up, and then we kind of separated. But the cousins themselves, the brothers and sisters, there's 4 of them, they all had kids, and all of their kids are really great pals with each other, their cousins too. So they still have that, which is good. every now and then I'll see them every so often, and we're on Facebook together, so we can still see each other's lives. But even their kids are grown and married and have had kids. It's just, oh my God, what?
I know. Sometimes I'm like, no, that person doesn't have kids. I'm not that old that person that I knew as a child. Like, like them as a
Exactly.
child. And I'm like, no, they're still like 7, but they're not, they're not. And I
They're
knew that
not. But
my former.
the one thing I was going to say is that I was the baby. And so I was much younger than the majority of them. So, I mean, I'm only 52. Their kids are all already grown and out of the house. And I mean, my son is going to be 25, but he's the youngest one of all of the other cousins. But it's just too bad that he never got to know them, especially because we moved to Florida. But even before then, they had already had their kids, and we just all lost touch with one another. But
I think that tends to happen as you get older and you have your own family and,
yeah,
like.
with some, I mean, they certainly seem to make it a point to still have a relationship with one another. But it's more than likely because they're siblings versus,
Right.
cousins. But, it's just, I think, what happens in time. As long as we can still, have some kind of a connection, even if it's through Facebook, it's still something.
It is still something. Yeah, but
It's
I
better
I
than,
do miss that. And especially because like I've moved away. So like, they'll
yeah,
get
that's like with
together
me.
and I don't live near any family. So if like sometimes I get a little jealous, like I'll see them get together and I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, but you made the choice. Like
Well, that's just it.
you, like you chose to move
You
away.
made that
So
choice.
yeah.
Something else I miss is the not so much the friends, the friends, yeah, but not so much the friends that I had in high school. It was just the friendships
Yeah.
and the talking on the phone for hours and talking about boys and on a whim, let's get together, let's go out, let's go to the
Hmm.
diner. Oh, I
Yeah.
miss diners. I miss diners. They don't have anything here in Florida like that. And I just miss going out to clubs and dancing with my friends or going out. We used to go for yogurt just any day of the
Yeah.
week, just meet for yogurt or, you know, there were open house parties when I was at high school and we would just, I remember I was really tired and I wasn't even planning on going out and my friend called me and she's like, okay, there's an open house party right up the street from you. I'm coming by. And I'm like, I'm not even dressed. Like I'm not even ready.
Yeah. I'm
She's
not
like,
ready.
yeah, she's like, just get ready. I'm like, fine, whatever. Put on a pair of jeans, shirt, put my hair up, put a little makeup on. She's beeping her horn. I go out and I meet her and she's like, it took you 15 minutes to get ready. It took me an hour. How do you look so good? She said that to me. How do you look so good? That I miss. Needing 10 friggin' minutes to
10
get
minutes to
ready
get up. I
and
know.
looking good.
Yeah. Yeah. Because this morning I was asking Mark because I didn't sleep very well last night. And I'm like, do I have bags under my eyes? Like, do I have, I mean, as a teenager, I
I
would
know,
never think about asking someone, do I have bags under my eyes? I
right?
would put on like the bare minimum of makeup
Yep.
and then put on whatever clothes because, I was very thin and small and
Thin.
anything I put
Yes.
on looked good.
That's
And so,
right. That's right. And that's how it
because
was.
I know you're very small too. Like I barely hit 5'3", and I was always very tiny and petite. And so whatever you put on when you're tiny like that,
Looks
it's
good.
flattering.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
and
my
so I
hair
never
is
had to worry about it.
and my hair, is curly and frizzy, which you can
Mhm.
see, but I haven't washed my hair in like 3 days, so it looks like shit. But normally or lately I straighten it or I just curl it. But back then I didn't know
Oh,
all the tips and tricks with curly hair. So, and I would wash my hair every day or every other day. So I always had product in it and it was always curly and ready, and chopped up like in layers. So when you have layers and curly hair, it's like you could just go anywhere. And I just remember that's what I did. I just let my hair down. I had a pick and I was like, nyeh, 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 nyeh. Put a little mascara on, whatever, no one can see me. I'm going to an open house party
yeah.
where it's nighttime.
And you don't have to put on any foundation or anything because your skin is My skin was perfect. Like as a teenager, my skin was perfect. I rarely got a blemish. I didn't have these
I did.
little crow's
I
feet. I
had
didn't.
gotten a few of them, but not, I actually wound up getting adult acne when I was older. What is this? Voicemail. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I got adult acne. That wasn't until I was like in my early 20s, but it didn't last very long because I got the right product. But
Yeah.
it also turned out that I had gotten bangs and my forehead was breaking out. And it was my
Oh,
mom
because
who's
of the.
hairspray in the product. And
Mhm.
she was like, maybe it's the hairspray in the product. Well, maybe you're right. Got rid of the bangs, we just put them up. Oh, I wore a headband for a while until they grew out. But anyway, yeah, and then the breakouts stopped. But I would get some breakouts like over here, and I started using Proactive, which at the time for me was expensive, but it was the only thing that worked. So, but yeah, I do remember it taking very little time. But the friend who I'm talking about that picked me up was extremely hard on herself and very, very
Yeah.
self-conscious. And she could never look exactly how she wanted to look. And then she would see me and she would, it wasn't just me, it was everybody else that looked good.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just that I didn't care how I looked most of the time. I wasn't out
Yeah.
to impress anyone. I was going with my friends. I was going to maybe get a little high and see some other people that I knew. And that was all it was for me. I didn't care
Yeah.
at the time,
I think
until I
I
got
missed
older.
that too. Because
Didn't care.
yeah, I didn't care. I would just, like it didn't matter to me. I didn't care if I impressed anyone.
No. And
I
that's a vulnerable age. When you're in your teens, a lot of girls, and I'm sure boys, are very impressionable. And, look, I had no choice with my hair because it was the 80s. Everything was big. And I happened to already
and you
just
had big hair. Yeah. So
happen
you were
to have really big hair anyway that I didn't have to do much with. But I remember that for my my senior picture, I globbed on the makeup. My picture is just really thick black eyeliner. I just remember that, and just my just big huge fro of hair. But I really didn't care. There were a lot of kids at that age that did care and would make themselves up and do their hair. And I had a friend who would use half a bottle of Aquanet every time she'd do her hair. And the boof, it was like up to
yeah.
here, and it went like this. And then she had a hole in the back of her head. And I'm like, hey, do you care about what the back of your head looks like? Because you got
Nope.
like a little hole going on there. Yeah, right. No, not really. Um, but yeah, I didn't really care too much. I cared more about just having fun and being with the people
Yeah.
that I liked and not the fake people. And now I actually really don't care that much now either. I know there
Yeah.
was a time when I did.
Yeah, I'm gonna say now at this phase, I don't really care either. Like,
Yeah.
you
I'm
know, like
already done with all that.
yeah, I'm done with all that. But I know there was a time, probably in my 20s, that I was very concerned about how I looked and putting off the right impression and,
Sure.
insecure.
In my 20s, I was dating this guy. In my late, I think it was starting at 19. And that's when I started, putting on the makeup and really doing
Hmm.
the hair, and mainly just for him. But I was never a huge makeup wearer. And now that I do what I do, I never wear makeup unless I go out, and I
I
never
put
do
it
my hair.
I put it on days when I have to take pictures of products because I know I'm gonna
Mhm.
be in the picture so
Or
people can see the
Zoom.
fit and stuff. Or yeah, or Zoom. But other than that, like I don't wear makeup on a daily basis.
Something else that I miss are family trips. I was saying before about Acapulco. I remember, coming to Florida often with my parents to see my grandparents. They lived in
Mhm.
Hollywood, Florida. Um, that was a lot of fun, and going, to the theme parks.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and I remember going to Acapulco. What I loved about Acapulco was my sister and I was I a senior or a junior? Well, it doesn't really matter. But my parents had their own room. We got our own room and we were on our own. My mom and dad
Oh,
were like, just be back by a certain time. We're like, okay,
mhm.
sure. And we would all go up and all go into our rooms at the same time. And then me and my sister would
Just
like
go back out.
sneak out and leave. Well, because it's like 11:30 and all the kids are hanging out in like the
Yeah.
disco,
Yeah.
and walking around and going on the beach. And it was just a lot of fun. And we were on our own. I wasn't really hanging out with my sister that much. She kind of found her little group. I found my little group. And I found out that there was this kid who was a year younger than me that liked me. But meanwhile, it's like 5 days into the vacation, and we're there for like another day or two. And I'm like, why didn't he say anything? And he was really cute too. But I didn't even, again, not looking, not thinking.
Right. You just,
And then I remember we started dating. He lived in New York. He lived like a half an hour from where I lived. And then it ended very quickly because he invited me to his house, and I think that he thought that he was going to get it on with me, like really get it on, because
yeah.
there was another couple that was his friend and his girlfriend, and they escaped and went into some other room, and you can hear all this like rustling going on, and you could tell that that's kind of what he wanted to
What
do. I'm
he,
like, dude,
yeah,
I don't
that's what he
even
thought you were
know
gonna do.
you. Like, yeah, I was like, I don't even know you. Did you like, is this what you expected when I came out here? Like, that's not me. I don't just like start doing things with a guy I don't know. And that was the end of that. I never saw him again after that. Hello.
Yeah, nope, we're still going. We're still going. That's Mark.
Hi, Mark.
You guys have heard me talk about him, so there he is.
Aw. Well, let's wrap it up. So,
Okay.
tell our lovely viewers and listeners how they can touch base with you.
I'm the Rhonda Marie on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
Perfect. And I am Nothing But Julie with the same social media, and you can listen to our podcast on any platform. At some point, I'm going to link this Zoom and the other one, so you're going to have to watch both of us, both parts. So anyway, this is great fun. Thanks, Rhonda.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.